Princess Zarathiel floated through the crystal gardens of her father's palace, her silver skin catching the light of 3 distant suns. The floating platforms beneath her feet were made of pure white stone that never got dirty. Everything in her world was perfect and clean and safe. She had lived here for 847 years, which made her almost grown up by her people's standards, but she had never been anywhere else. The Valdrian Empire stretched across 1,000 worlds, but Zara had only seen pictures of them. Her father, Emperor Thexmar, said the universe was too dangerous for someone as precious as his daughter. He told her that other beings were savage and violent, especially the new species they had discovered called humans. Zara was not allowed to learn about war or fighting or anything that might hurt her delicate mind. Today felt different, though. As Zara drifted between the singing flowers that changed colors with her mood, she heard loud voices coming from the War Council chamber. Her father had told her never to go near that room, but curiosity pulled at her like gravity. She had never heard such angry voices in the palace before. Moving as quietly as air, Zara pressed herself against the crystal wall outside the chamber. Through the transparent material, she could see her father sitting at a huge table with his generals. Their faces looked worried and angry at the same time. Maps of space floated above the table, showing star systems and ship movements. "The humans are expanding too fast," said General Kylvan, his voice sharp with concern. "They have taken 3 more systems this month. Our border worlds are asking for protection." Emperor Thexmar's silver eyes glowed brighter, which happened when he was upset. "These humans are like a disease spreading through the galaxy. They fight everything, even each other. They eat the flesh of dead animals and train their young to kill. How did such savage creatures develop space travel?" "They are dangerous because they do not follow our rules," another general said. "They do not bow to stronger empires. They make alliances with anyone who will trade with them, even the pirates like them." Zara pressed closer to the wall. She had never heard anyone talk about other species this way. In her lessons, she learned that all intelligent life was beautiful and peaceful, just like her people. But these humans sounded different and exciting. "What should we do about them, my emperor?" General Kylvan asked. "We watch and wait," her father replied. "The humans will destroy themselves eventually. All savage species do. We just need to make sure they do. Not damage anything important while they burn out." Zara felt something strange in her chest. It was like hunger, but not for food. She wanted to know more about these humans who did not follow rules and made friends with pirates. They sounded scary, but also brave in a way that her people were not. Without thinking, she spoke out loud. "Why do we not try to understand them instead of just waiting for them to die?" The room went completely silent. Every face turned toward the wall where Zara stood. Her father's expression changed from anger to horror, faster than lightning. "Zarathiel," the Emperor said, his voice deadly quiet. "Come here immediately." Zara's feet felt like heavy stones as she walked into the War Council chamber. She had never seen her father look at her this way before. The generals stared at her like she had grown extra heads. "How long have you been listening to private military discussions?" her father asked. "I only heard a little bit," Zara said, which was not exactly true. "I was just curious about the loud voices." "Curious about military matters?" General Kylvan sounded shocked. "Princess, these are not subjects for delicate minds. War and violence would break someone like you." "But why?" Zara asked. "Why am I too delicate? Why can I not learn about the real universe? I am almost 850 years old, but I know nothing about anything." Her father stood up so fast, his chair fell backward. "Because I love you, daughter. Because the universe is full of pain and death and creatures who would hurt you without thinking twice. I have spent your entire life protecting you from all of that darkness." "Maybe I do not want to be protected anymore," Zara said, surprising herself with her boldness. "Maybe I want to see what is really out there." The Emperor's face went through several colors before settling on dangerous purple. You want to see the real universe? You want to meet savage creatures who solve problems with violence? Very well, daughter. I will grant your wish. Zara felt excitement bubble up inside her, but her father's next words made it disappear. You will go to Earth as our diplomatic observer. You will live among the humans for one full cycle and see exactly what they are. When you return broken and begging to never leave this palace again, perhaps you will understand why I kept you safe, the generals gasped. General Kylvan stepped forward. My emperor, surely you do not mean to send the princess to that dangerous world. The humans might hurt her or corrupt her mind with their violent ways. She wants to see the real universe. Thexmar said coldly, let her see it. Let her learn what happens to delicate flowers when they are planted in poisoned soil. Zara's world spun around her. She had wanted adventure, but not like this, not as punishment, not sent away from everything she had ever known. Tears began to fall down her silver cheeks. Father, please, I did not mean to make you angry. I will never ask about the outside again. I will stay in the gardens forever if you want. But Emperor Thexmar had already turned away from her. The decision is made. Captain Lisa Morgan of the Human Diplomatic Corps will escort you to Earth tomorrow. Pack only what you need. You will live as the humans live and learn as they learn. As Zara ran from the chamber crying, she could hear the generals arguing with her father about the wisdom of his choice. But she knew that when the Emperor made a decision in anger, nothing could change his mind. That night, as she packed her few belongings, Zara looked out at the three suns setting over her crystal world. Tomorrow she would leave the only home she had ever known to live among the savage humans her father feared so much. She was more frightened than she had ever been in her long, sheltered life. But deep inside, underneath the fear, a tiny spark of excitement still glowed. Whatever happened, on Earth it would not be boring. The human ship looked nothing like the elegant vessels of her people. Where Valdrian ships were smooth crystal and flowing curves, this thing called New Frontier was all hard angles and metal plating. Captain Lisa Morgan, who had come to collect Zara, seemed just as rough as her ship. She had short brown hair and scars on her hands, and she spoke in a way that was direct and sometimes rude. "Welcome aboard, Princess," Captain Morgan said as they walked through corridors that smelled like oil and recycled air. "I hope you're ready for a reality check." Zara did not understand what a reality check was, but she nodded anyway. Everything here was so different from home. The walls were gray metal instead of singing crystal. The floors were hard and made noise when you walked on them. Worst of all, there were weapons everywhere. Humans carried devices designed only for hurting other beings, and they seemed to think this was normal. The journey to Earth took 3 days. During that time, Zara learned that humans were even stranger than her father had warned her. They ate dead animals at every meal, which made Zara feel sick to watch. They argued with each other loudly about everything from ship repairs to sports, but then laughed together afterward like nothing had happened. Most shocking of all, they seemed to enjoy taking risks that could get them killed. "Why do you not just avoid dangerous things?" Zara asked Captain Morgan during their last day of travel. "Because dangerous things are usually worth doing," the captain replied while checking her weapons. "If we avoided everything that might hurt us, we'd never leave our bedrooms." When they finally reached Earth, Zara's first look at the planet made her gasp. It was mostly blue and white and green, spinning slowly in space like a jewel. But it looked wild and uncontrolled compared to the perfectly managed worlds of her empire. There were storms swirling over the oceans and ice covering the top and bottom. It looked beautiful and terrifying at the same time. The shuttle ride down to the surface was bumpy and loud. Zara gripped her seat while Captain Morgan seemed to enjoy the rough descent. When they finally landed at something called a military base, Zara stepped outside and immediately felt overwhelmed. The air moved by itself, pushing against her skin in what humans called wind. The sky was bright blue with white clouds that kept changing shape. Everything was so alive and chaotic compared to the controlled environment of her home. And the smells, there were so many different smells mixing together that her sensitive nose felt attacked. "Princess Zarathiel, I presume," said a tall woman in green clothing covered with patches and symbols. "I'm Commander Kate Sullivan. I'll be your guardian during your stay here." Commander Sullivan looked like she could break Zara in half without trying. Her hands were rough from work, her face was tan from being outside, and her eyes were the color of storm clouds. She looked at Zara the way someone might look at a fragile flower that was about to be planted in rocky soil. "Let me guess," Commander Sullivan said. "You've never been anywhere but palace gardens, you've never had to work for anything, and you think humans are savage monsters who eat babies for breakfast." Zara blinked in surprise. "We do not eat babies. We eat only plants and nutrients that are grown in special gardens." "Right," the commander said dryly. "Well, Princess, welcome to the real world. Here's your first lesson. There are no servants, no floating platforms, and no one is going to take care of you just because you have a title." They walked through the military base, and Zara saw humans doing things that shocked her. Some were running in circles while carrying heavy packs, sweating and breathing hard but not stopping. Others were fighting each other with padded sticks, hitting and getting hit, but laughing about it. A group was taking apart weapons and putting them back together over and over again. "Why are they hurting themselves?" Zara asked. "They're training," Commander Sullivan explained, "making themselves stronger and faster and better at surviving. Pain is just weakness, leaving the body." Zara did not understand how pain could be good for anyone. In her world, any discomfort was immediately fixed. With medicine or magic or technology, the idea that someone would choose to be uncomfortable made no sense to her. She was given a small room with a hard bed, a metal desk, and a window that looked out at the training grounds. There were no floating cushions, no singing crystals, no temperature control that read her mind. The room was basic and functional, and somehow felt more real than her palace bedroom ever had. That first night, Zara cried herself to sleep. Everything was too loud, too bright, too rough. The food tasted wrong, the bed was uncomfortable, and she missed her father despite being angry at him. She wanted to go home and forget this whole adventure. But the next morning, a young human woman knocked on her door. She had dark skin and kind eyes and introduced herself as Private Maya Rodriguez. "Commander Sullivan sent me to show you around," Maya said. "Don't worry, everyone's scared their first day here, even the tough guys." Maya was different from the other humans Zara had met. She spoke softly and moved with grace, but there was strength in her that reminded Zara of flexible metal. As they walked around the base together, Maya explained things in ways that did not make Zara feel stupid for not knowing them. "See those people running?" Maya pointed to a group of soldiers, jogging past. "They're not punishing themselves. They're preparing for missions where they might need to run for hours to save lives. The pain they feel now prevents worse pain later." "But why not just use technology to make running easier?" Zara asked. "Because technology fails sometimes," Maya said. "Your body and your mind are the only things you can always count on. That's why we make them as strong as possible." Later that day, Commander Sullivan brought Zara to watch a basic training exercise. New recruits were trying to climb over a wall that was taller than they were. Most of them failed on their first try, falling back to the ground. But they got up and tried again, and again, until finally they made it over. "See that?" Commander Sullivan asked. "Every single one of those recruits could have given up. But they didn't. They kept trying until they succeeded. That's what separates humans from a lot of other species. We don't quit just because something is hard." Zara watched a small woman who looked even more delicate than herself finally make it over the wall after 6 tries. The other recruits cheered for her like she had won a great victory. The woman was covered in dirt and sweat and looked exhausted, but she was smiling bigger than Zara had ever seen anyone smile. "Would you like to try?" Maya asked gently. Zara looked at the wall. It seemed impossibly high and rough. Her people would never build something designed to be difficult to climb, but something inside her, maybe the same thing that had made her listen to the War Council, made her nod. The first time she tried to climb the wall, she fell almost immediately. Her hands were too soft, her arms too weak. She landed on her back, in the dirt, which was a completely new experience. On her world, she had never been dirty in her entire life. "Try again," Commander Sullivan said, not unkindly but not sympathetically either. Zara got up and tried again, and fell again, and again. By the fourth try, her hands were scraped, and her perfect silver skin was covered with dust and sweat. She felt terrible and wonderful at the same time. On the seventh try, she made it halfway up before falling. On the 10th try, she got her hands over the top but could not pull herself up. Her arms shook with effort she had never felt before. 1. "More time," Maya encouraged her. "You're almost there." On the 11th try, Princess Zarathiel of the Valdrian Empire pulled herself over a human training wall. She fell on the other side and lay there breathing hard, staring up at the alien blue sky. Her whole body hurt in ways she did not know were possible, but she had done it. She had faced something difficult and not given up. For the first time, in her 847 years of life, she had truly accomplished something on her own. As she lay there in the dirt, dirty and tired and proud, she began to understand why humans seemed so confident all the time. They had learned that they could survive difficult things. They had learned that they were stronger than they looked. Maybe, she thought, she could learn that too. 3 months had passed since Zara first climbed that wall, and everything about her had changed. Her silver skin was no longer perfect and unmarked. Small scars decorated her hands from rope climbing and weapon training. Her muscles, which had never existed before coming to Earth, now showed beneath her skin when she moved. Most importantly, she no longer cried herself to sleep every night. Maya had become her closest friend, something Zara had never had before. In the Valdrian Empire, princesses did not have friends, only servants who agreed with everything they said. Maya was different. She would argue with Zara when she was wrong, push her when she wanted to quit, and celebrate with her when she succeeded at something difficult. "Your people are missing out," Maya said one morning as they ran together around the base. Zara could now run for an hour without stopping, which would have been impossible when she first arrived. "If they never challenge themselves, how do they know what they're capable of?" "They do not want to know," Zara replied, her breathing steady, despite the pace. "They want to stay safe and comfortable forever." "That sounds boring," Maya said. Zara thought about her old life in the Crystal Gardens, where every day was exactly the same. "It was very boring." Commander Sullivan had been watching Zara's progress with interest that she tried to hide. At first, she had clearly expected the alien princess to give up and demand to go home within a week. When that did not happen, she began to take Zara's training more seriously. "You're stronger than you look," the commander told her during a hand-to-hand combat lesson. "Your bones are denser than human bones, and your muscles can store more energy. The problem is that you've never learned to use any of it, Sergeant." Nicole Blake, who taught close combat, was amazed at how quickly Zara learned once she stopped being afraid of getting hurt. "Your reflexes are incredible," Nicole said, after Zara successfully blocked a series of attacks. "It's like you can see what I'm going to do before I do it." "My people have very good senses," Zara explained. "We can see and hear and smell much better than humans. But we never use these abilities for fighting." "What do you use them for?" Nicole asked. Zara thought about it. enjoying gardens, listening to crystal music, smelling flowers. Nicole shook her head. What a waste. Lieutenant Grace Park taught tactical strategy, which turned out to be Zara's best subject. Her alien mind could process multiple possibilities at once and see patterns that humans missed. During wargame simulations, she began winning against opponents who had been training for years. "You think like a chess master," Grace told her after Zara had defeated a team of veteran soldiers in a capture the flag exercise. "You're always thinking 3 moves ahead." "My people are very good at planning," Zara said. "We just usually plan how to avoid problems instead of how to solve them." Captain Rebecca Stone taught starship piloting, and here too Zara excelled in ways that surprised everyone. Her natural ability to sense 3-dimensional movement made her a natural pilot. She could feel the ship around her like it was part of her body. "I've never seen anyone take to spaceflight this quickly," Rebecca said after Zara successfully completed a difficult docking maneuver on her first try. "It's like you were born for this." But the real test came when Zara faced her. First emergency. She and Maya were on a routine training flight when their shuttle's engine failed. They were too far from base to glide back, and the backup systems were not working. "Mayday, Mayday," Maya called into the radio. "Training Shuttle 7 has engine failure and is going down." Zara looked at the instrument panel and saw that they had maybe 2 minutes before they crashed into the mountains below. In her old life, she would have panicked and waited for someone else to save her. But 3 months of human training had changed her. "There," she said, pointing to a clearing between the peaks. "If we can restart the engine for just 10 seconds, we can glide to that flat area." "The engine is completely dead," Maya said, trying to keep the fear out of her voice. "Not completely," Zara said, studying the readings with her enhanced alien vision. "There is still power going to the backup ignition system, but it is not getting fuel. If we can manually open the fuel line while I restart the ignition—" "That's crazy," Maya said. "You'd have to crawl back to the engine compartment while we're spinning out of control." "Then you fly while I crawl," Zara said, already unbuckling her safety harness. Maya stared at her alien friend. 3 months ago, Zara had been afraid to climb a wall. Now she was volunteering to risk her life crawling through a crashing spacecraft. "Are you sure about this?" "No," Zara admitted. "But I would rather die trying than die waiting." She crawled back to the engine compartment while the shuttle spun and shook around her. Using her enhanced strength, she forced open panels that were supposed to be opened with tools. Her alien senses helped her find the blocked fuel line in the dark compartment. When she manually opened the valve, fuel rushed toward the engine. "Now!" she shouted to Maya. Maya hit the ignition, and the engine roared back to life for exactly 9 seconds before dying again. But 9 seconds was enough. They glided into the clearing and crashed, but softly enough that they both walked away with only bruises. As they sat on a rock waiting for rescue, Maya looked at her friend with new respect. "When we first met, I thought you were just a spoiled princess playing at being tough." "What do you think now?" Zara asked. "I think you're the bravest person I know," Maya said. "And I think your father has no idea who his daughter really is." That night, Zara had her weekly video call with Emperor Thexmar. These calls had become tense as the months passed, and Zara showed no signs of begging to come home. Tonight was different, though. Tonight she looked directly into the camera with confidence that had not been there before. "Hello, Father," she said. "Zarathiel," the Emperor replied, studying her face through the screen. "You look different." "I feel different," she said. "I wanted to tell you about something that happened today." She described the shuttle crash and how she had helped save both their lives. Her father's expression grew more troubled with each detail. "These humans are teaching you to risk your life unnecessarily," he said when she finished. "This only proves how dangerous they are. They are teaching me that life is worth risking for important things," Zara replied. like saving a friend, like protecting innocent people, like discovering what you are truly capable of. You are capable of being safe and happy in the palace gardens, her father said. That is all you need to be capable of. No, father, Zara said quietly. That is not enough anymore. I am capable of so much more than that, and now I know it. After the call ended, Zara sat in her small room and thought about home. She missed the beauty of the crystal gardens and the comfort of her old life. But she did not miss being helpless. She did not miss being afraid of everything outside her perfect world. Maya knocked on her door and came in with 2 cups of hot chocolate, a human drink that Zara had learned to love. Rough call with your dad? Maya asked. He wants me to come home and pretend none of this ever happened, Zara said. What do you want? Maya asked. Zara looked out her window at the training grounds where humans were still working, even though it was late at night. They never stopped trying to become better, stronger, more capable. They never settled for just being safe. I want to stay here and keep learning, she said. I want to see how strong I can really become. Even if it means disappointing your father? Zara thought about that for a long moment. All her life, pleasing her father had been the most important thing in the universe. But now she had discovered something even more important. Yes, she said. Even then. Outside, the wind blew across the base, carrying the sound of soldiers, training and the smell of rain coming in from the mountains. Zara had learned to love that wind, even though it was unpredictable and sometimes cold. It reminded her that she was alive in a way that the perfect, controlled air of her home never had. She was no longer the frightened princess who had arrived on Earth 6 months ago. She was becoming something new, something stronger, and she was not finished yet. The emergency alert came at dawn while Zara was finishing her morning workout. Red lights flashed throughout the base as Admiral Helen Carter's voice echoed from every speaker. All personnel to battle stations. We have reports of pirate attacks on Valdrian border colonies. This is not a drill. Zara's blood went cold. Pirates attacking her people meant innocent Valdrians were dying while she was safe on Earth. She ran to the command center where Admiral Carter was studying star charts with her officers. Admiral, Zara said, trying to keep her voice steady, I request permission to join the response mission. Admiral Carter, a stern woman with gray hair and sharp eyes, looked at Zara like she had asked to fly to the sun. Princess, you've been training for 8 months. These pirates have been killing for decades. You're not ready for real combat. My people are dying, Zara said. I know Valdrian technology and tactics better than anyone here. I can help. Lieutenant Commander Diane Foster, who had been teaching Zara advanced space operations, stepped forward. Admiral, she's right about knowing their technology, and her piloting scores are better than most of our veteran pilots. Before Admiral Carter could respond, another officer burst into the room. Admiral, we just received a priority message from the Valdrian Emperor. Emperor Thexamar's face appeared on the main screen, and Zara's heart clenched at seeing her father again. He looked older and more worried than she remembered. Admiral Carter, the Emperor said, I am ordering you to send my daughter home immediately. The border situation is dangerous, and I will not have her anywhere near combat zones. Admiral Carter looked at Zara, who stood straighter and met her father's gaze through the screen. Father, Zara said, I cannot come home while our people are being attacked. I have skills now that can help save lives. You have no skills that our military does not have better, her father replied sharply. You are still my daughter and still under my authority. Come home now, or I will consider the humans to be holding you prisoner. The threat hung in the air like poison gas. If the Emperor declared Zara a prisoner, it could mean war between their species. Admiral Carter's face showed that she understood the implications perfectly. But Zara had learned something important during her months with humans. She had learned that some things were worth fighting for, even when the cost was high. No, father, she said quietly. I will not come home. Not while people are dying, and I have the power to help save them. If you want to declare war on humanity for teaching me courage, then do it. But I will not abandon innocent people to protect myself. The Emperor's face went through several colors before the transmission cut off. Admiral Carter stared at Zara for a long moment. Princess, she said, finally, you just chose Earth over your own empire. I hope you understand what that means. I chose what is right over what is safe, Zara replied. The humans taught me the difference. Admiral Carter studied her for another moment, then nodded slowly. Very well. You'll ship out with the third fleet in 2 hours. Try not to get yourself killed. Your diplomatic immunity doesn't work if you're dead. The human fleet that assembled to help the Valdrian colonies was smaller than what Zara was used to seeing, but it moved with efficiency. That impressed her. Unlike Valdrian ships that were built for beauty and comfort, these vessels were designed purely for getting jobs done. Zara was assigned to the cruiser Defiant under Captain Rebecca Stone, her former flight instructor. As they traveled toward the border systems, Rebecca explained what they knew about the pirates. They're led by someone called Vex-Tai, a rogue Valdrian who was exiled from your empire years ago, Rebecca said. He's recruited pirates from a dozen different species and equipped them with stolen military hardware. They hit colonies, steal everything valuable, and disappear before help arrives. Why do the other pirates follow a Valdrian? Zara asked. Because he wins, Rebecca said simply. He knows your people's weaknesses better than anyone. He knows they won't fight back hard enough to hurt him. When they reached the first attacked colony, Zara felt sick at what she saw. The beautiful crystal cities she remembered from pictures were shattered and burning. Valdrian refugees floated in escape pods, their elegant ships destroyed around them. They came from nowhere, one survivor told them through tears. Our defense ships tried to surrender, but the pirates destroyed them anyway. Vex-Tai said he wanted to send a message to the Emperor about what happens to weak people. Zara felt something new burning in her chest. It was not fear or sadness, but pure anger. These were her people. And someone was hurting them specifically because they had been taught to be peaceful and helpless. Admiral, she said over the communication system, I have an idea. Her plan was simple but dangerous. The pirates were using hit-and-run tactics, striking fast and disappearing before the slow Valdrian defense forces could respond. But what if the next colony they attacked was not as helpless as it appeared? We set a trap, Zara explained to the fleet commanders. I go to the most likely next target and pretend to be a normal Valdrian princess inspecting the colony. When the pirates attack thinking they have an easy target, we spring the ambush. That puts you right in the middle of a combat zone, Admiral Carter said over the video link. If something goes wrong, you could be captured or killed. If we do nothing, more innocent people will die, Zara replied. I would rather take that risk than let it happen. The trap was set at a mining colony called New Valdris. Zara arrived in a fancy diplomatic ship, playing the part of a spoiled princess on an inspection tour. The human fleet hid behind the nearby asteroid field, waiting. The pirates took the bait perfectly. Vex-Tai's ships dropped out of hyperspace exactly where Zara had predicted, surrounding the colony with overwhelming force. Through her ship's cameras, she got her first look at the rogue Valdrian who was terrorizing her people. Vex-Tai was tall and powerful, his silver skin marked with scars from many battles. He had decorated himself with trophies taken from his victims and carried weapons that were illegal in civilized space. When he spoke, his voice was full of contempt for everything the Valdrian Empire represented. Princess Zarathiel, he said over the communication channel. The Emperor's precious daughter comes to visit the frontier. How wonderfully convenient. Release the colonists and I will surrender myself, Zara said, playing her role. Surely the daughter of the Emperor is worth more than a few miners. Vextai laughed, a sound like breaking glass. Oh, little princess, you have no idea how much you are worth. Your father will pay anything to get his perfect flower back unbroken. Then take me and let these people go, Zara said. I think not, Vexatai replied. I think I will take you and kill them anyway. Let the Emperor see what his weakness costs. That was the signal Zara had been waiting for. Admiral Carter, execute Plan Alpha. The human fleet came out of the asteroid, field like angry wasps surrounding the pirates before they could react. But Vextai was not finished yet. His ship, larger and more heavily armed than anything else in the system, turned its weapons on the colony itself. If I cannot have easy victory, I will settle for easy destruction, he announced. Zara did not hesitate. Her diplomatic ship was fast and maneuverable, and months of human training had taught her to think like a fighter pilot. She accelerated directly toward Vextai's ship, putting herself between his weapons and the colony. "Princess, what are you doing?" Captain Stone called over the radio. "What humans taught me to do," Zara replied, "protecting people who cannot protect themselves." The battle that followed was unlike anything in Valdrian military history. Instead of the slow, formal combat her people preferred, this was fast and brutal and decisive. Human ships moved like hunters, striking hard and moving before the pirates could respond. But Vexatai was cunning and experienced. He managed to break through the human formation and escape toward open space. Zara, acting on instinct and training, followed him alone. "Princess, return to formation," Admiral Carter ordered. "Do not engage alone." "He knows all our defensive strategies," Zara replied, pursuing the larger ship through an asteroid field. "If he escapes, he will just attack another colony. This has to end here." The chase led them deep into the asteroids, where the larger pirate ship had trouble maneuvering. Zara used her smaller ship's agility to stay close, dodging the weapons, fire that shattered rocks around her. Finally, Vextai's ship became wedged between two large asteroids. Zara landed her ship nearby and did something that shocked everyone listening to the radio. "Vextai," she said, "I challenge you to single combat. If you win, I will surrender and you can escape. If I win, you surrender your ship and your crew." "Princess." "No," Captain Stone called. "He's 3 times your size and has been fighting for decades." "You cannot be serious, little flower," Vextai laughed. "I will break you like a crystal vase." "Then prove it," Zara said, already putting on her combat suit. "Unless you are afraid to fight one spoiled princess." The insult had its intended effect. Vexatai's pride would not let him refuse a direct challenge, especially from someone he considered weak and helpless. They met on the surface of a large asteroid, just the two of them under the light of distant stars. Vexatai was bigger, stronger, and more experienced, but Zara had something he did not expect. She had learned to fight like a human, wear Valdrian combat. The crystal spires of Valdros Prime looked exactly the same as when Zara had left them almost 2 years ago, but everything felt different now. As her ship descended toward the palace landing platform, she could see crowds of Valdrians gathered to watch her return. Word of her victory against Vexatai had spread throughout the empire, and people were curious to see the princess who had fought pirates alongside humans. Emperor Thexmar waited on the platform with his full court, just as he had when she left. But where before Zara would have run to him crying and begging forgiveness, now she walked calmly down the ship's ramp with her head held high. She wore simple human military clothing instead of flowing Valdrian robes, and her silver skin bore small scars from training and combat. "Father," she said, stopping a respectful distance away and giving a slight bow. The Emperor stared at his daughter as if she were a stranger. "Zarathiel, you look—" He paused, searching for words. "Different," Zara finished for him. "I am different." Behind her father, the court nobles whispered among themselves. Some looked impressed by her confident bearing, while others seemed scandalized by her appearance. General Kylvan, still her father's chief military advisor, looked at her with something that might have been fear. "You defied my direct orders," the Emperor said. "You chose humans over your own people. I chose protecting innocent lives over—" "Protecting myself?" Zara replied calmly. "I thought that was what good rulers were supposed to do." The conversation that followed took place in the same throne room where Zara had once hidden behind crystal pillars to listen to war councils. Now she stood openly before the throne, meeting her father's gaze without flinching. "The humans have corrupted you," General Kylvan said. "They have filled your mind with their violent ideas and made you forget your place." "The humans showed me what my place could be," Zara replied. "They taught me that being safe is not the same as being strong. They taught me that hiding from danger does not make it go away." "And what would you have us do?" another noble asked. "Become savage warriors like them? Abandon our peaceful ways?" "I would have us become strong enough to protect our peaceful ways," Zara said. "Vextai was able to terrorize our colonies because he knew we would not fight back effectively. He was right. Our people died because we were too afraid of violence to defend ourselves against it." Emperor Thexamar had been listening in silence, studying his daughter's face. "You speak of violence as if it is necessary." "Sometimes it is." "Necessary, father," Zara said. "I wish it were not true, but wishful thinking does not change reality. Evil exists in the universe, and someone has to be willing to stand against it." "And you believe you should be that someone?" Zara thought about Maya, still serving on Earth, still risking her life to protect others. She thought about Commander Sullivan, who had taught her that strength came from facing challenges rather than avoiding them. She thought about all the humans who chose dangerous duty because someone had to do it. "I believe we all should be," she said. "Every person who is capable of protecting others has a responsibility to do so. That includes princesses." The throne room erupted in shocked whispers. Such ideas were revolutionary in Valdrian society, where the nobility was protected while common soldiers did the dangerous work. General Kylvan stepped forward, his face purple with anger. "This is exactly the kind of thinking that makes humans so dangerous. They have no respect for proper order, no understanding of natural hierarchy." "They have respect for earned authority," Zara replied. "They follow leaders who prove themselves worthy, not leaders who inherit their positions." "Are you saying I am not worthy to lead?" the general demanded. Zara looked at him steadily. "I am saying that if you had to earn your position through merit instead of birthright, would you still have it?" The question hung in the air like a challenge. General Kilven's hand moved toward his ceremonial weapon, and Zara tensed slightly. Months of human training had made her ready for violence, even when she did not want it. "Perhaps," the general said slowly, "the princess needs to be reminded of her place in our society. I challenge you to formal combat, as is my right when insulted, by a member of the royal family." Emperor Thexmar started to object, but Zara spoke first. "I accept your challenge," she said calmly. The formal combat ring in the palace had not been used for centuries. Valdrian dueling was a slow, ceremonial affair with elaborate rules about honor and proper technique. General Kylvan was considered one of the finest traditional fighters in the Empire. But Zara no longer fought like a traditional Valdrian. The duel was over in less than 3 minutes. Where the general moved with formal precision, Zara moved with practical efficiency. She used techniques that did not exist in Valdrian combat manuals, strategies learned from humans who fought to win rather than to look graceful. When General Kylvan lay defeated on the crystal floor, the watching nobles fell completely silent. Their princess had just defeated the Empire's greatest warrior using alien fighting methods. "This is what human training can accomplish," Zara said, helping the general to his feet. "Not corruption, but capability, not savagery, but strength used in service of justice. That evening, Zara sat with her father in his private garden. The singing flowers and floating platforms looked beautiful but somehow less real than they had before. She had seen worlds where beauty came from wildness rather than control, and she missed them. "The humans have changed you beyond recognition," her father said sadly. "The humans helped me become who I was always meant to be," Zara replied. "The person I could never become while hidden away in crystal towers." "And what happens now?" he asked. "Do you plan to overthrow everything we have built here?" Zara considered the question seriously. "I plan to build something better, something that keeps the beauty and peace we value but adds the strength to protect them." Over the following weeks, Zara presented her proposals to the Imperial Council. She wanted to establish a joint military academy with the humans, where Valdrian officers could learn practical combat skills while human officers learned Valdrian strategy and technology. She wanted to create rapid response forces that could protect colonies before pirates destroyed them. Most radically, she wanted to recruit volunteers from all levels of society, not just the military class. "You would arm common citizens?" One noble asked in horror. "I would teach common citizens to protect themselves and others," Zara replied. "The humans have a saying that an armed society is a polite society. People who can defend themselves are less likely to be victims." "And if these armed citizens decide they do not like being ruled by nobles?" another asked. "Then maybe we should make sure we rule well enough that they want to keep us," Zara said. The debates continued for months, but gradually, Zara's ideas began to take hold. The pirate attacks had frightened people throughout the Empire, and her victory against Vexatai had shown that human methods could work. More importantly, Zara had allies now. Commander Kate Sullivan arrived as part of a human diplomatic mission, and her presence reminded everyone that the princess had powerful friends. Among the humans, other young Valdrians who had heard about Zara's transformation began requesting permission to train on Earth. Even some older nobles admitted privately that the Empire needed to become stronger. The breakthrough came when a second pirate group attacked a core world and nearly succeeded because the defenders had no idea how to fight an unconventional enemy. The attack was defeated only when Zara led a hastily organized defense using human tactics. After that, opposition to her reforms collapsed quickly. 6 months after her return, Princess Zarathiel stood in the main hall of the new Valdrian Human Military Academy. The building combined the crystal architecture of her people with the practical design of human facilities. Students from both species trained together, learning from each other's strengths. Maya had come to serve as an instructor, bringing her expertise in building friendship across species barriers. Commander Sullivan taught advanced tactics to senior officers. Human and Valdrian technologies were being combined in ways that neither species had imagined alone. "You did it?" Maya said, standing beside Zara as they watched mixed groups of students training together. "You actually changed everything." "We did it," Zara corrected. "None of this would have been possible without what I learned from humans like you." Emperor Thexamar approached them, moving more slowly than he once had. The stress of the changes had aged him, but there was something like pride in his eyes when he looked at his daughter. "I still do not understand how this happened," he said. "I sent you to Earth to teach you why you needed protection. Instead, you learned that you did not need protection at all." "I learned that I needed different protection," Zara said. "Not walls to hide behind, but skills to face whatever comes. Not servants to solve my problems, but friends to help me solve them myself. And now you protect others instead of being protected," her father said. "Yes," Zara said simply. "It is better this way." As the day ended and the 3 suns set over Valdros Prime, Zara walked through the academy halls. In one room, Valdrian, students were learning human hand-to-hand combat techniques. In another, human students were studying Valdrian strategic theory. In a third, both species worked together to solve tactical problems that neither could handle alone.